Are you an INFJ who is struggling to balance extroverted feeling and introverted thinking? So the desire to bond and bridge the gap with people and, support people with, that just doesn't make sense. Like, why would I even do that? How do I logically approach this when people get in the way? Coming up in this video, how I'm going to suggest that you use your INFJ function stack in a balanced, better way to get the things that you want in your life. What's up, legend? It's Sherman here from Geek Psychology, where I help geeks, gamers, and creatives to play life better. And I got this question about INFJs and how to balance extroverted feeling and introverted thinking so that you're not just like swamped by other people's issues, and you can actually establish your boundaries and really just kind of be who you are meant to be in the world. Because, the way that I see it, like, we all have these different character classes, and the world needs us to be playing our best. The world needs us to bring out our skill set to tackle these raid bosses out in the world and things like that. And if that resonates with you, then consider subscribing and liking the video. So let's get into the INFJ function stack. So how I like to talk about it is I personify all these characters. So the dominant function, the hero of your story, is introverted intuition. This is the visioning mystic. The mystic is about that long-term foresight, about scrying into the future, about seeing things from different perspectives, lifting up and seeing how all this stuff funnels into one understanding, one meaning, I was going to say one direction, but that's a crappy band, in one point of focus. And a lot of times that comes through shifting perspectives, that comes through seeing things in ways and reframing how you're looking at a situation, right? And, with that comes a lot of symbolism and metaphor and unconscious insights and aha moments. And the support in your story, the mentor of your story, the one that gets you to go into the chaotic world and learn and grow, is the envoy. The envoy is about bringing people together, about bridging gaps between people, about understanding the culture of the room, of the relationship, like giving the relationship an emergent entity of itself, and saying, like, this is what's going on with these people, this is how this one person is valuing certain things, and this is how the other one is, and how can we bridge that, how can we create stronger bonds. And through that comes a lot of hosting, a lot of caring and supporting for other people. We'll get into why that causes some issues later on. And then you have the rookie, the sidekick of your story. This is introverted thinking. This is the analyzing adept. And the adept is like the scientist. It's the smart guy, the smart girl within your story. The one that's like always trying to figure out, how does this definition make sense, and how do I categorize these things, these pieces of information, these data points, the metrics and things like that. And through doing that, it gets a really fine-tuned, clear understanding of what something is at like a core level. Not the meaning of it, but like, what is this thing? How do we define this thing? And then extroverted sensing, your fourth function, your inferior function, I call it the limit. Okay, and this is the engaging adventurer. This is the one that does the opposite of what the mystic does. And it's like, I'm just going to experience this in the real world now. I'm going to turn all my senses up to 11. We're going to hang glide and jump off the plane. And, it doesn't have to be that dramatic and adrenaline focused, but it is very in tune with the present moment, the physical. Okay, it could be the senses, right? The taste of this cake, right? Getting really this like immersing yourself, engaging in all of reality in the moment. And that can be quite difficult for myself as well as an INFP, but for INFJs, because it's so polar to how you naturally approach life in a heroic, mystic way. And just to note, if you don't like the word mystic, that's fine. You can change the word. This is just how I approach it, as a model of understanding yourself and other people better so that you can unleash your superpowers and play to your strengths. So what's the issue with all of these? Why is there any problem? Well, because they're all like polar opposites and they have different dynamics. Okay, your hero, the mystic, and your sidekick, the adept, are both defensive characters. They're both like, I'm gonna watch and understand this thing to the best of my ability before engaging with it, before, getting my hands on it, if possible. Like I want to really understand this thing subjectively. It might feel objective, right? Because you're like, I'm bringing in logic and stuff like that, but it's really your own personal understanding of things. So the mystic might have this idea about where things are going, usually tied to people, right? Where things are going, why this person feels this way, why this person hasn't come around recently, or why they said this thing. And then the adept is like, I will make sense of this. Trust me, I will do it. Give me all the time I need. And it's just like, I'm going to keep processing and defining and getting clearer and clearer. The problem is, it's not necessarily clearer and clearer if you don't have outer world feedback. This is like the bane of existence for introverts, is I got to get that outer world feedback. And so the envoy is there to do that, especially with people, right? How can I get us all going in the same direction, right? This person wants this person wants this. Well, that's going to, disperse our energy. We're not focused. There's going to be like disharmony. And so how do I get us all working together? How do I mediate between that? That causes a lot of stress, because that's offensive stuff. That's outer world stuff. Just like the fourth function, the limit, is also like, I'm going to engage first and then post-process, and then figure it out. And so it just naturally feels like the mystic, your hero, and the adept, your rookie or your sidekick, talk very easily together. They're speaking the same language, right? And then the envoy and the adventurer are both speaking the same language too. Let's engage. Let's go out there. Let's unify people. And then we'll figure out. Then we'll see if this is actually the right thing to do, subjectively, and like what my impact is on this whole situation. But first, let's make sure that the outer world, the environment, the people are better. So it's kind of like this. The mystic and the envoy naturally pick up a lot of, emotional energies from other people. Like I've heard stories of, an INFJ walking into a room and just like, what is going on between those two people, and those, and like seeing people with like an invisible thread between them that they're like picking up and reading and stuff like that. Sure, not everybody might see it that way, but I've definitely heard that. Or somebody walks into the room and you're just like, man, I just feel crappy all of a sudden. Oh, it was that person. It was that person's emotion that I just picked up, right, through my unconscious mind. And that can suck. So you want to leverage that to your strengths, right? You want to find a way of wrapping that with gratitude, of getting a meta perspective, which you're very good at, and saying, how can I use this as a strength to my advantage? And I'm sure you've thought of that a lot, but I want to give you my perception of it because it helps to have different ways of looking at things. So it's kind of like you got this like sack, this bag, right? That people just keep giving you stuff and you're like, thanks. And you just throw it in the bag, right? Thanks. And let me just pick this one up over here, put that in the bag too. And eventually you're just burdened with this huge weight and you start to feel the gravity of the situation. It makes it difficult to take steps forward doing the things that you want to do. So making sure that within yourself, you have your priorities straight, that's maybe another video, but like really understand, what do you want in life? What is important to you? And making sure that you're able to say, this is not aligned with what I want. I don't need to take it. You don't need to accept other people's shit. All right. And that's the long term. That's the end game. right? I know it's probably like, how do I even do that, right? Through setting straight your priorities, your principles, what is important to you, even your values, you'll get there, right? Just constantly checking in with yourself. Is this something that is honest? Is this something that is truthful? Is this something that, serves this larger purpose of, educating people? If not, then that's the line that you draw. Like, I don't do that anymore. I'm done with that. And in the meantime, when you are, maybe you got a plan, maybe you got something you want to do, and then other people are like, hey, can we hang out? Or hey, can you help me move my sofa or whatever? You're like, God damn, okay, all right, I guess I got to go do this other thing right now. Make sure that you get that real-time feedback, and then you can post-process with, how can I make this work, right? How can I utilize this to my advantage? Using your NI, using your ability to envision and vision into the future, how can I incorporate this information into adjusting and navigating properly to the place that I want my goals to go, or to the place that I want my relationship to go with this person? Like, what kind of like little seed, what bit of information can I plant in right now so that this doesn't happen again in the future, or that this happens more in the future in the way that I want it to, in the best way that you can, right? But also by honoring yourself and who you are in the world, and what the world needs from you, which is that long-term vision, or seeing things in a different way. How can we reshape the way that we as a culture, or we as humanity, see these issues? How can we change our mind around that? And then bringing in the adept, then bringing in the scientist to say, okay, now that we have our goal, how can I make this work? And then bringing in the adventurer, saying, I'm going to put this into place now. I'm going to go out there and do it and put real action, massive action into place. And this is why you are so good at helping people in relationships, right? Mediating between people. You're very good at seeing, like, well, what are the different components that are causing this to be a valuable thing between these two people, for example, right? And so you're taking both the unifying as well as the analyzing, right? It's a process. Unify and then analyze. Unify and then analyze. If you start with analysis and separating things, it becomes, I think, more difficult for you to bring in your superpower of unifying. And I could talk about this for days and days and days, but I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, please let me know what helped you down below in the comments, and share your stories, because this is how I calibrate and how I perfect my craft, as well as you sharing. Really, like, other people that read the comments are like, yes, somebody else feels the same way that I do. Thank you so much. Because it's a lonely world out there, as what the rarest personality type INFJ, right? It's people don't understand things in the same way that you do. So having that ability to share with other people what is going on is extremely important. That's one of the benefits that really does come through engaging and unifying more, because then you start to learn, how can I bring out my understanding of the world through, value laden and an emotional language, right? Sharing different vulnerabilities of yourself through the envoy really, like, brings people together, right? And you can share that purpose, you can share that longer term vision through that. And with that, I love you. Keep up the lifelong questing. Good luck, have fun. Peace.